In the early 1900s, two mathematicians, Alfred Whitehead and Bertrand Russell, wanted to show that absolutely all mathematics can be reconstructed from pure logic. They started their project in 3 volumes, where they spent thousands of pages building mathematics from the ground up. And then they just stopped. Their work was so meticulous that it was only by page 362 that, for the first time, they were able to prove that 1 + 1 = 2. The proof itself is actually really short, and we will break it down in the video. But why did it take so long to get to the proof itself? And why did they stop rewriting all mathematics? Well, for that we have to go back 10 years earlier, when Russell found out that he had a fundamental problem with mathematics. While working on a branch of logic called set theory, Russell asked himself a very simple question. Can a set contain itself? This became known as Russell's paradox, and it made people question the foundations of mathematics. This is the kind of problem that pushed Russell and Whitehead to work so hard on the foundations of mathematics. Even proving something as basic as 1 + 1 = 2 needed extreme care. If something as basic as set theory could produce contradictions, then maybe the foundations of mathematics were not as solid as people thought. And by the way, if you like the way we teach, you will love our PDFs. These are extended versions of our videos with more details. And most importantly, with exercise and their detailed solutions. Honestly, we did our best to present each one of these topics in a very intuitive way. I think you'll like them. Check out the link in the description. You might find something that you were looking for all along. Principia Mathematica was their attempt to rebuild mathematics not based on history, but based on logic alone. But what does it actually mean to rebuild mathematics based on logic? Now we need to talk about the idea of a proof. Before, a proof in mathematics was an argument that convinced people that something was true. And in science, it is still pretty much like that. If you repeat an experiment again and again, and you always get the same result, then you've proven that this is true. For example, in physics, if we let an object go and it falls, and it does it here, in Japan, in the US, every time we try, many years on planet Earth, and it always falls, physicists would be pretty satisfied with calling this a law. But mathematicians would not accept this as a theorem, much less a proof. Because technically you can't guarantee that on the 1,000,000,000th time you try it, you won't get a different result. Maybe somewhere in a hidden corner of the globe. You might call it an axiom, because you are assuming it to be true, even though you don't have a proof. But it still makes mathematicians uncomfortable. For example, when Fermat was looking for special forms that might always produce primes, he came up with this formula. If we plug in 0 in place of n, we get 3, prime number. Plug in 1, and we get 5, another prime number. Then 2, we get 17, prime number again. It looks really promising, right? And it continues to be for 3 and 4, and then 5, where we get 4,294,967,297, which is not a prime. Because we can divide it by 6,700,417, and we get 641. Duh, obviously. So it doesn't really matter if it works for 6, 7, 8, and so on. It has to work for every single number every single time. But you're not going to check every single case every single time. So what can you do? Let's have Sophia tell us about it.
Well, this is where we'll have to start relying on something called axioms. Axioms are something mathematicians accept without having to explicitly prove it. The caveat, though, is that it has to be something that is as obvious as possible. One simple axiom of arithmetic is something called the successor axiom, which is part of Peano's axioms. It says that every number has a next number. So after 0 comes 1, after 1 comes 2, after 2 comes 3, and so on. We call this the successor of a number. This sounds really obvious, but in a formal system, even things that are as basic as the next number has to be treated as a formal rule. We don't have to prove that every number has a successor. We just kind of accept it as a starting point and then build on top of that. An axiom is something you accept as a starting rule. Once you have at least one of them, you can start to prove something and create a theorem. And out of that theorem, you create other theorems. You don't have to prove those things from scratch again. And this way, mathematics grows layer by layer, eventually getting to incredibly specific theorems in all kinds of areas of mathematics. So you don't need to reinvent calculus every time you want to prove something in mathematics. You just use the fundamental theorem of calculus, and so on for other concepts. This is exactly how Whitehead and Russell were trying to build up all of mathematics by using logic alone, Essentially, they used a very primitive set of axioms from which they could derive all of mathematics. You could try and read Principia Mathematica by yourself, but let's just say you'll have your work cut out for you, because since Whitehead and Russell are building mathematics from the ground up, you have to learn completely new notation and new symbols. So, for example, instead of writing P times Q, you would write this. Or for definitions, instead of just having the equal sign, they would be written like this. And eventually, soon enough, you'll have pages of text looking like this. Could you read it? Totally. And we've actually linked a little dictionary in the description below that will kind of help you read your way through it. The work does have a lot of interesting proofs, including that 1 + 1 is 2. But let's be honest, you can't learn mathematics just by watching YouTube videos. If you're serious about learning math, you need to actually sit down and read it, and try to solve exercises on your own. We condensed a lot of information into these PDFs to give you only the most essential knowledge about each subject. Check out our catalog in the description of this video. Now we're gonna go ahead and see how they proved that 1 + 1 is 2. And there you go. Here it is. Thanks for watching. Just kidding. Okay, let's go ahead and break this cryptic text down. So technically, this is not the proof that 1 + 1 = 2 per se. Not yet, at least. It's more like a final piece they needed before officially introducing addition. They showed that one thing together with one separate thing gives us a collection of two things. And once addition is defined, we can go ahead and translate that into 1 + 1 is 2. So while researching for the script for this video, we also watched a lot of YouTube videos, which were very helpful. But some of these videos incorrectly explain the proof using the successor function proof and Peano's axioms. The proof itself is correct, so it is the right way to prove that 1 + 1 is 2. But that is not the proof used in Principia Mathematica. It approaches the problem in a completely different way. More precisely, Russell and Whitehead were working with classes and cardinal numbers. And that is a more complicated way of getting to 1 + 1 is 2. But remember, here they were trying to build mathematics from the ground up, and so they had to start with something more primitive, just from logic. Anyway, here's a simple explanation of what's going on in the proof. To prove 1 + 1 is 2, we have to stop treating numbers just as symbols and think of them as sizes of collections. The number 1 is the size shared by every collection with exactly one thing. So take one bag with one object and another bag with one different object. Since the bags do not overlap, we can combine them without counting anything twice. So one object plus one object gives a collection of size 2. That is 1 + 1 = 2. But there is one trap. Suppose we add 2 bags of size 2. If the bags overlap, their union is not size 4. The shared object is counted only once. This doesn't mean that 2 + 2 = 3. It means addition only works this way when the collections are disjoint. This is the logical content behind 1 + 1 = 2. Even though we're massively simplifying the proof, of course. Now, Russell and Whitehead wrote 3 volumes in total, trying to build mathematics from the ground up. There was actually supposed to be a 4th volume on geometry, but it was never finished. And the reason is actually pretty simple. The project was just enormous. Writing such a work was extremely exhausting, and they already kind of managed to show how mathematics could technically be reconstructed using their system, so they were pretty much done. But the second thing is that in 1931, Gödel actually ended up proving mathematically that the deepest version of their dream could not succeed. Even though it came out 20 years after the last volume of Principia was published, and they weren't really even planning on publishing anymore because they were too tired, Gödel proved that no formal system, no matter how strong it is, could prove all the truths of arithmetic. It's impossible. And this kind of completely ended the foundational dream that Whitehead and Russell had. By the way, if you'd like to be the first to know about our future books and courses, sign up with your email address right here. Link in the description.
Now, mathematics has a lot of philosophical questions attached to it, and here's a very interesting one. Click on this video right here and check it out. I'll see you there.